Hi guys, so today I want to talk about my essential MAC brushes, or more expensive brushes than say drugstore brand. I have a ton of brushes, as you can see right here. On a daily basis I only use maybe 3 or 4, but the essentials that I would say for people to get, well, there's starter kits from MAC, I guess you could say, or like trial sized ones that you can use for traveling, and they come in little tiny versions of this, like really mini ones. But I personally would not recommend these if you're really going to invest in them and you really know what you want, because the mini version of these, when you wash it, it gets really black here at the white part of the stippling brush. But I mean, this brush is fine and this brush is fine as well. It's just this one is a little bit annoying. As for foundation brushes, it depends on what you're using. If you're using liquid foundation, it's personal preference really what you would use. The two ones for foundation I would recommend is maybe the 190 or the 187 by MAC. I'm a fan of stippling brushes more so than these, because with liquid foundation usually this leaves more of a streaky mark than this one, and this kind of like an airbrushed sort of look if you apply in layers and not too heavily at once. My next pick, if you wear eyeshadow. I only have one eyeshadow brush at the moment, and that is it is called the 239, I think it's called. So this is just a simple brush. I don't think anything special about it. I wouldn't fork out all the money for this one personally. I just go buy a cheaper version of one of these because I think MAC brushes are so expensive. I don't know why I forked out the money for them. I'll tell you some more cheap alternatives towards the end of the video. But what I do think is worth spending some money on is a nice Kabuki brush, which you can use it to apply powder foundation, or you can use a Kabuki for, I guess, blending out your foundation even more and buffing it into your skin, or like I do when I apply too much bronzer or too much blush, I get my Kabuki and just go over my face with it. This is a special edition one. I think it came with these little brushes right here, the red ones. This was a holiday collection at some point, so I kept this one and I use this one a lot. I think the other ones that you get, like not special edition, they're really much bigger. They're like this big or so. Another one that I really enjoy having is a bronzer brush, or what else could you apply it with? I don't know if you could apply powder foundation with it because I don't use powder foundation. But this is called the 134 by MAC. You've seen it in a couple of my videos, I think. So I just washed these, so that's what this looks like. The 150, a lot of people rave about as well on YouTube. I haven't looked at that one. I think it's because it's much bigger. It's like super big, and a lot of people I see, they set their foundation with this one. I mean the 150. Okay, the ones that I haven't really talked about that aren't really important in my mind are a couple of these. Mainly because I don't use them as often. If I was going to wear powder blush, I would go for a flat top kind of Kabuki brush. This is by eyeslipsface.com, and the handle needs to be glued back on because it's kind of wobbly. This is a powder brush by them. It's $1, I think. Powder brush is very thick and very soft on your face. Like, you wouldn't think so for $1, but I do use this when I decide to use powder blush, which isn't very often. I don't think MAC has a brush like this at all, but if they did, I probably wouldn't buy it because I don't wear blush all that often. I mean the powder blush. This is by Bare Essentials. It's a concealer brush. I find a lot of concealer brushes are very prickly under the eyes area, so I don't like to use those, so I would not recommend getting one of those. I just use my fingers. A pencil brush, which looks like this. This is another MAC tiny special edition brush. I'd say you can use a Q-tip instead of this. I use Q-tips a lot. I don't like to keep a lot of brushes in the bathroom with me, so oftentimes when I'm looking for this one, I would just use a Q-tip. So for a pencil brush like this, I usually apply color like right here. and then on the outer corners of my eyes. For eyeliner, I use, it's like a lead pencil, but it's kind of creamy consistency, so I don't really use like fluid lines or anything, but when I did, I used this brush. It's an angled one, and it's by Annabelle. I think Annabelle is only available to Canadians, so it's just any old angled brush, and it was, I think it was under $5. So this stood up to Max Fluid Line, and it washes well, and it doesn't flare out when you wash it too often. And for powder brushes, before I spent the money on this powder brush by MAC, I used these two small brushes. This one's by Sephora, and I applied my bronzer with this, but you had to be really careful because this applies kind of heavily, I guess. And this one, yeah, I use it for traveling when I don't want to bring this big bulky thing. So a lot of inexpensive choices there. My favorite eye brush, I guess you could say, is a blending brush by MAC. I use this all the time also to set my under eye concealer with powder, and again blending with the eyeshadow with this brush. This one you can't get any brush by MAC that they have out now, but I like this one and I would recommend this. So in conclusion, for the MAC brushes that I would spend the money on are 4 brushes. So the blending brush, which is the 223, the 187 for foundation, my bronzer or setting powder brush, looks kind of crazy because it's washed, it is the 134, and a Kabuki for blending out or setting, blending in your foundation. Sigma, as you guys probably already know, are basically a dupe for MAC brushes at a much more inexpensive cost. So I have an invite for you guys if you want to check those out. A lot of people rave about them. It's not an invite, it's a, what do you call it? An affiliate? I'm an affiliate of them. Whatever. Anyway, you can get some cheap brushes there. But then I also found out some really crazy cheap brushes. It's called crownbrush.ca. I'll put the link down below again. And it's even less expensive than Sigma. So I'd recommend checking those people out as well. I noticed though that they were sold out a lot of their brushes. So you kind of got to get on the ball. When you see a brush, you should buy it because it's like crazy and expensive. I heard that they were a supplier for Sigma, but I'm not sure how true that is. There's also a ton of reviews on YouTube from Crown Brush, people who have bought from them. And yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. I'll put all the links in below. And I hope this helped you guys out, especially UK, because you requested this video, or not requested the video, but you asked my opinion on some brushes. So I hope that helped you guys out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!